Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic show. This is episode 353. Got a friend of the show, a great guy, doing great stuff in WordPress. That's Adam Preiser, and he's the co-founder of CartFlows. Adam, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the listeners and viewers?
Sure thing. Hey, everybody. My name is Adam, more commonly known as Adam at WPCrafter, because of the YouTube channel that I've created for WPCrafter. But I also started a product, and I think we're going to talk about lots of things, just catch up on the podcast. But I do want to say hello, and thanks for listening today.
That's great. My co-host Cindy Nicholson couldn't be with us today, but she'll be back next week. So Adam, CartFlows, great launch, seems a really interesting product. What was the vision of the product? Why did you start it with your co-founder? And where do you hope to take this great product?
Well, I actually love telling this. I kind of love when a product has a story, and CartFlows has a story. And it actually goes back 2 years ago when I always knew that at some point I would come out with a product. I always knew that would happen, but a lot of things just had to be perfect for it, because what I'm doing with WPCrafter, if I was to have a product one day and, solve a problem that I saw from the community and what they were having, and it wasn't backed by a huge team of expertise and support and all that, it could actually damage all the goodwill that I've been building for years, and I'm going to keep building. So, I knew, even though I knew 2 years ago that I'd come out with a product, I didn't know how I would do that one day, but I did know how it would have to happen and how it'd have to go down. So about 2 years ago, a product had come out called Ultimate Add-ons for Beaver Builder. And it's by a company called Brainstorm Force. They have software on millions of websites. Actually, millions, let me just quantify that more accurately. Over 2 million websites they have software on, which essentially means they've got experience in building WordPress products that are in lots of different hosting environments, a lot of experience with support. And so, but when that product came out, it was an add-on package for Beaver Builder. The co-founder of that company had reached out to me because I had purchased it and I really liked it. At the time I was using Beaver Builder and I was really excited about it. And that was the start of a friendship with him. Now, I'm in Southern California. He's on the other side of the world. He's based in India. And so, but we just continued our friendship, communicating, and we ended up becoming kind of aligned in a lot of things. And, he would give me lots of advice. It's funny. Actually, my birthday's tomorrow, and I turn 40 something. Okay. It doesn't matter which 40, what the other number is. Right. And so he's 15 years younger than me, but age actually doesn't matter. If someone has amazing advice that works, you just listen. I don't care if they're like 15. I mean, my son, he's 12 and he gives me advice and it ends up being great advice. So I'm always been an open book, but we had built a friendship where I was giving him some ideas. He was giving me some ideas. He would give me advice. He'd hold my feet to the fire. I'd hold his feet to the fire. And it ended up becoming this natural, organic friendship. And then what happened was he was flying out to California to go to Cabo San Lucas in 2017. And so I live near the airport he was going to be at for a day. And so I went and picked him up and we spent the day together in 2017. And I'm the world's worst tour guide. So if you're thinking I'm going to come to LA and be there for a day or two and connect up with Adam, just know I'll take you to a really nice meal, but it's probably not going to be the best sightseeing experience. I felt so horrible. Anyways, we ended up at a restaurant, Fleming's. You probably have a Fleming's out there in Vegas?
Well, I don't live in Vegas, do I, Adam? I live in Reno.
That's probably would be a problem, right?
It would be. It's a short flight. It's about an hour's flight. It's an 8 hour plus drive, though.
I get that confused for a second there.
You're not the only person that said that to me.
Okay, good. I'm not feeling so bad. So I took him out to Fleming's. And so if you're in Southern California, you might be familiar with Fleming's. It's not the highest end, but it's a fancy steakhouse, and they have steak and lobster. So I know.
Yum, yum.
Oh, yeah. So I know in India, they don't eat a lot of seafood. They don't eat a lot of red meat. So I'm like, let me just get this guy steak and lobster, take him out, let him, enjoy that. And it's funny, we went there, and he had never had lobster before. And when you first get a lobster served to you, it's like, how do you actually, sometimes you try something new, but you don't know how you're supposed to properly eat it. When they pull the lobster tail and it flaps over the shell. So we ended up having a great time, and we started talking about lots of different things and really solidifying our friendship. But we were just talking about some of the pain points that are involved with WordPress and e-commerce. And so, you have a lot of software as a service platforms that are way ahead of the curve and have totally blasted past WordPress when it comes to e-commerce and modern ways of selling products. And so, there's a lot of things that we talked about, and it really revolved around an optimized sales process that resembles what we interact with and deal with every day. And more commonly known on the internet as sales funnels. You're familiar with sales funnels?
Yes.
So there's it's a problem that software as a service companies have created great solutions for, but there wasn't anything for WordPress. And a sales funnel, if you're a listener and you're not so familiar with what that is, you actually interact with them every single day, right? But you just don't know it. So when you go to that restaurant and you're there with your spouse, and your waiter comes up and gives you this whole personalized experience, a sales experience, where they tell you the specials, and then when you place your order, they give you lots of information to help you make your decision. You place your order, they ask if you'd like to add a salad to that or a soup. And sometimes you say yes, sometimes you say no. But if he didn't offer it or she didn't offer it, you probably wouldn't say yes or no, because this offer wouldn't have been made. And then they look to your spouse, in my case, my wife, and they'll say, ma'am, would you like to enjoy a glass of champagne or a glass of wine with your meal? Now, someday she's just going to say yes. Someday she's just going to say no. But if he didn't, I can't say he, we're in the, there's, okay. Just trying to be balanced here.
You've got to be that, Adam.
So the waiter would say, if the waiter would not, or the server would not make that suggestion or that offer, there's no chance of ordering wine or champagne. And what happens at the end of the meal? They bring that nice visual dessert cart, right? And they're like, to top off your meal, would you like this or some coffee or all that? This is essentially just a sales process. It's when someone's there already expressing their interest. They're there, they're hungry, they're there, and they're there to consume food and have a nice evening. You're just making the service just making additional purchase suggestions and offers along the way, and it's to better serve the person that's there. I like it when they make these suggestions for me, because I want to. You know what? I'll tell you something about me. Many times I want to be sold. I want to be sold something. So this is like a modern sales process that we experience in lots of different situations in normal life. It's just commonplace. And we're just simply making it so WordPress users can do the same thing with their websites, to have this kind of always on digital salesperson selling your products and making additional offers as your buyer is purchasing things from you. Does that make sense?
Oh, sounds great, Adam. On the podcast, we have a bit of a focus on membership sites. So, your new product, can it be useful for e-learning entrepreneur that's got a membership site?
Yeah, well, let me. I'll tell you exactly what we've done. So, with CartFlows, what it allows you to do is it's It's a WordPress software that sits on top of WordPress, obviously. And also for the checkout portion of CartFlows, we use WooCommerce. However, we mostly use WooCommerce for the back end of the website. And we did this because it's got all the payment gateways. It has all the integrations. So for membership software, if you're using Restrict Content Pro or you're using MemberPress, it already integrates with WooCommerce. For learning management systems, you're using LearnDash or Lifter LMS, they already have integration. So what we have is we've done beautiful what we've done. You install CartFlows, you click create a new flow. A flow is this kind of sales funnel process. And we have all of these already done for you templates, especially ones for authors, course creators, digital products, physical products. And you choose the one you like, you click one button, and now you have this on your website. And what we do is you have complete customization of the checkout experience. So if anyone's used WooCommerce before, you know it's like impossible to make that thing look good. So with a CartFlows checkout, you can put information there to reinforce the purchase, and there's no friction for your buyer. So you could show testimonials, you could do all that. But this is also where the first opportunity comes in place to make an additional offer. So if you're selling a membership, maybe you actually don't want to go straight in for the membership. Maybe you go straight in with some form of an ebook or a video course. But then we have something called a bump offer, and this is one of the main core features that we add. And what this is an additional offer that you make right when someone's about to hit that buy button. And the beauty of this is your buyer can click one button and it automatically adds it to the order, which is why it's called an order bump. It's the bump up the purchase price of that order, and you make a good offer. And what's amazing is these convert, just like that restaurant salad wine example, these convert from 10 to 30% on average, depending on how you craft that offer. So usually it's something that will help the buyer get the result a little faster. And so the first step is the order bump. And then after the buyer purchases, then you could take them to a series of upsells and downsells. And upsells where after they've made the purchase, you make that additional offer. And maybe that's when you go in for the membership. So you don't go into the membership in the beginning, because what the psychology of buying is, if someone trusts you enough to check out and take that first step forward with you, they're a lot more likely to take that next step as well. And if they're already in that buying process, that's when you want to make that additional offer. So we have a demo that we're setting up on our website for people to go through and test this out for themselves. And so in our demo, the first offer is an ebook, and then we have an order bump. And then the next offer is a membership where you get more access to the course creator or for this membership community. And then if someone doesn't want that, because maybe it's just too much for them at that moment, and they say, no, thank you, then we offer a video course at half the price of the membership. So there's this process of making additional offers to meet the needs of your buyer better and have more options for them. It's fantastic for course creators, authors, membership websites, just pretty much any situation.
Oh, that sounds fantastic, actually. Well, we're going to go for our break, folks. We're going to be coming back and we'll be delving more with Adam about CartFlows and about the process of building this great plugin. And we'll be back in a few moments, folks. We're coming back. Had a really great chat with one of my friends, Adam. So, Adam, you've been in the online world for a few years now, but I know that this process, you've probably learned some lessons. What's some of the couple of things you've learned in the process of building this plugin with your co-founder?
Well, I'll tell you, I approached it cautiously, because you can't just jump into a partnership with someone that you don't have a history with to know their skill level, to know their commitment, their dedication, their reliability, actually just know who they are and their character. So one of the first things I learned was you don't just jump, gosh, I don't want to offend anybody. You don't jump into bed after the first date when it comes to your reputation being on the line, right? No. So So that was the very first thing. And so then what I've learned is a lot of work, a lot of dedication goes into making a product. So one of the things that I've done on the WP-Crafter side is I've reviewed a lot of products. One of the things I do is I make these product review videos. So I kind of have an idea of what I think anyway is easy to use, is intuitive, and what is not. And then what I discovered in this process, making something simple, intuitive, and easy to use is the hardest thing imaginable. When anyone looks at our interface, if you've ever used WordPress, you immediately feel right at home. You can watch a 5-minute tutorial and pretty much have our product mastered. And it might almost look too simple, but the reality is it was so hard to get it to that point. It was excruciatingly hard to get it to be simple. We went through seven different versions of the interface to get to what we ended up, with. And it was quite a process. And if anyone's thinking of having a product one day, there's one crucial step that a lot of people skip, but it would be to your own detriment. You have to go and use if there's any similar products or services out there, you have to go and use every single one to see what they get right and to see what they get wrong. We were fortunate that there's a lot of software as a service companies that have already created this kind of solved this problem and created a solution on the software as a service side. They're just very expensive and they're not flexible because it's not built on an open platform. I subscribed to every single one, used every single one in detail. And so I'll give you an example. There's one called Kartra, and Kartra does something similar. And I thought I wanted what Kartra offered to do something similar. So what they do when you build your sales funnel, it's this free-flowing canvas where you can drag these upsells and all that and create kind of a map, and everything's free-flowing and moves around and all that. And I was convinced that that's what I wanted for CartFlows. But after using it, I realized that is complicated. It is complicated and overwhelming to use, and there isn't that much of a benefit to having that free-flowing canvas. So instead, we went for a more simpler route that would be similar to ClickFunnels. So ClickFunnels has it where you can just easily drag and drop and move your steps. And so we drew a little bit of inspiration from that interface, but you don't know what you don't know unless you're testing everything out there to find out what works and what doesn't work and what you can improve on, and the weaknesses in other products.
Yeah, so true, so true. So in general, what's been the reception that you've got from the WordPress community about the product?
Well, what happened, so we launched this product on November 19th, and what happened, we didn't expect to happen. And this is actually my first rodeo. It wasn't Sujay's because he has multiple products, and he's been down every road before in this business. He's one of the top WordPress product creators today. So for me, this is all brand new. So when we first released it, I learned a lot. Number one, you have to communicate. You asked the reception, but I'm tying this into what I learned. You have to communicate the value to someone so that they can understand the value of your product. Number one, I learned that. So I think that was one of the mistakes that I made when we released this product. I don't think I communicated the value properly. And so another mistake, but we corrected it right away, was we launched this the Monday before Black Friday. And there's a lot of competition at that time for dollars, So we had our price, but people were like, I really want your product. I don't mind the price, but I want to buy these other 30 other products that are half off right now. And so I can't justify just buying yours and not being able to buy theirs. And so we paid attention, we listened to people, and that's the best thing you could do, is just listen to people. And we came up with this crazy split pay option. So people could purchase our product and just split it out over 6 months. And that really turned things around, because there were some people that they really were excited about the product, but they just couldn't get it because of all the dollar competition, So, but then what happened just totally blew us away. The reception that this product has. I mean, we have some big names in the WordPress ecosystem that love this product. They're creating videos on this product. They're using it to build their own sales funnels on their website. Now, I can't reveal some of the names of people that are using it. Once their product is and their service and maybe event tickets are for sale, of course, I'm going to be like shouting to the moon, hey, check out so-and-so's using it. Check out so-and-so's using it. But we're really grateful for the support that we've received. There's a lot of excited people about this product. I'm excited about this product because we built it for us. But there's so many other people that it really has struck a chord. Because here's the thing. Let me just say why this is so exciting. And who put it best was Troy Dean. Has Troy Dean been on the podcast?
Yeah, he's been on once, actually.
So if you're not familiar with Troy Dean, he runs probably the most well-known training program for WordPress service providers. It's called WP Elevation, and it's a great program. It's changed the lives of probably thousands of people, the amount of students that he's had. And so he looked at it and he made this testimonial video that was totally unexpected. And in it, he put it best. He says, guys, I have used every product out there. I've used ClickFunnels, which is $3,600 a year. They have a cheaper plan for $1,200 a year. I've used this platform and this platform. And every single time we'd use one of these platforms, we'd run into some kind of something we needed it to do and it wouldn't do. And then we would ask them and they would say, sure, we'll add it to our list. And then, it will never be implemented. It's a closed system. It's never going to really do everything that you want it to do. And he even went as far as saying that CartFlows is probably the most exciting product since we've had page builders. And page builders are huge. It's so huge that WordPress just built their own, Gutenberg. And so he put it best as someone that's used all these systems that, building on an open platform makes all the difference. CartFlows can allow you to do things that those platforms will never allow you to do. When it comes to payment gateways, translations, multilingual, these are the basic things you can't do with those other systems, but you can because we're plugged into the WordPress ecosystem. It's just amazing to hear that. But the reception kind of took us off guard. I felt like people wanted this, but then I really saw when people started buying it like crazy that people really did want this, that we're onto something here.
Oh, that's great. But did you have any doubts that, with your co-founder that you were on the right track, or did you have a strong gut feeling based on all your interactions on WPCrafter that as long as you got the fit and finish up to the standard you were looking for, that you were pretty confident that you can have a winner?
Yeah, well, there's always for me, because this is the first time I've been a part of a product like this, co-founding a product. There was a lingering doubt, but it was very minor because I really believe in this, and I really believe that it can make a massive difference in anyone's life easily that is selling anything on the internet. And of course, it can be used for more than selling things. It could be used for generating leads, getting signups to webinars, all kinds of things like that. And charities, it can be used for everything. It's not only about making money. But there was just this lingering doubt, like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow when we make this public. And when we launched it that first day, I was a lot of people, I built a lot of goodwill because I'm a giver. I give on my YouTube channel, there's over 400 videos that I've put there to help people. I get 50 to 100 comments a day. I get Facebook messages. I'm constantly helping other people. And it doesn't bother me. That's how I get fulfillment in life, is helping other people. And so a lot of people that I'd helped were really excited about this product, really wanted to jump in. But before we had that payment plan, some of them felt a little hurt by me. And I was a little bit of a, and anytime you have a little bits of pockets of haters out there and stuff like that, I got to say that that first day was probably the roughest day I've had all year. That first day when we had this available for sale, I was pretty devastated at some of the things that people were saying. But I saw where I made the mistakes that probably caused that, and maybe not fully communicating the value. Well,
pricing is a nightmare in its own right, isn't it?
Yeah, and I'll let me quantify that a little bit. So on my YouTube channel, I've reviewed a lot of products that have made it on AppSumo. Now, AppSumo is a great platform for buyers. They line up these incredible deals, and they're only like $49 in their lifetime accounts and all that. And they bring in lots of sales numbers and all that. But it's not necessarily healthy for the product creator or the product behind, or the company behind the product. So like I said in the beginning, I'm releasing something for the long term because my reputation's on the line here. And if I was to make CartFlows some incredible AppSumo-like deal where it's like $49 for a lifetime account, we would get crushed because, number one, it's a complex product because we have multiple payment gateways we have to integrate with. I mean, there's just so much complexity to it. We're supporting all these page builders. We're building, heck, every sales funnel template that we create costs us about $800 to $1,000. And we're just pumping these in there month after month. It's not a inexpensive product to have created. And so I think people were thinking it was going to be like this $49 AppSumo thing. And those were the people that could be a little vicious, a little vicious. So, but it's okay. Literally, what is it, that song? What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I tell you, it didn't kill me in that first day. And it made me way stronger, and CartFlows ended up being a massive success beyond our wildest expectations. In 1 week, we're like literally approaching 1,000 new customers, which is unheard of. I mean, it's just such a huge accomplishment, and that's because we poured our heart and soul for 12 months to build the best product that we could build, and when it shipped, it was already in its place meeting needs for that people have been wanted. One of the first reactions I'd hear from people that see it, including Troy Dean, was, I've been wanting this for years. I've been wanting to develop this for years. Troy Dean said, I told my team 2 years ago, we need to build this. It's not easy to build a product, I'll tell you that.
Well, you don't have to tell me.
Oh yeah, well, so you obviously, so let's flip the conversation about you.
Well, actually, before that, I'd like to finish off the podcast, and we can go into that in the bonus content, and also talk about Adam's recent interview with Matt Manahan, the co-founder of WordPress. So, Adam, we're going to finish the audio podcast part of the show. Hopefully, you can stay on for 10, 12 minutes, and we can discuss your recent interview. But how can people learn more about you and your great product?
So for the WP-Crafter side, you could just Google WP-Crafter or go to youtube.com/WP-Crafter. All my videos, they're there. They're free. We have an awesome community. And like you said, there's an interview with Matt Mullenweg that I just did. My first interview, that was, we're going to talk about that actually in the WP-Tonic tomorrow. But CartFlows is just CartFlows.com. And we also have an awesome Facebook group community around CartFlows. You can just go to Facebook and search for CartFlows, where we're talking strategy. Even if you're not ready for CartFlows, you could go in there and see what CartFlows is all about, all the enthusiasm, all the strategies being shared. But it's just CartFlows.com. We'd love to have you check it out. We have webinars going on. There's videos there that explain how it works and everything.
That's great. And I just want to endorse Adam and his product. You know, Adam's become a friend and it looks a fabulous product. I'm going to try and get a discounted version of him. But I'm not just saying that. It looks fabulous and I'm sure it's going to work out. And I'm so pleased for you, Adam, and for your co-founder. He's a great guy as well. I've had him on the show. We'll be back next week, folks, with somebody that's going to give you some insights on how to build a more successful membership website so you can become a real successful e-learning entrepreneur. We'll be back next week, folks. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
So, to start the bonus, how do you get the domain name? Was that quite expensive to get?
You know what? I usually don't puff myself up or talk about myself or give myself credit. My wife would say I don't give myself credit, but I'm really an ideas guy and I come up with creative things. Sometimes they're great and sometimes they're not great, but I keep coming up with them. So we were like, okay, what are we going to name this thing? It was just called Funnel Project before. Like we had to come up with a name and I don't remember how I came across it. But it was a freely available domain name.
You're kidding, aren't you?
Yes. What's that?
You're kidding.
No. Well, so there's CartFlows without the S. And it's it's like some kind of it's like a product for those wind turbines that generate electricity. Yeah. So at CartFlows, it was open. And so the next thing you have to do is you have to see, is there any trademarks filed on this? Are you going to get yourself into any trouble there? Because you want to avoid that. And there was no, so I emailed my trademark attorney. I do have to have a trademark attorney for the WP-Crafter side. Shot one email out to him. He did all the searches, and I said, we're filing that thing immediately. So as soon as we came up with the name, we filed that trademark many months ago because you have to protect yourself, especially with the long-term vision that we have for this product. There's no room for error. There's no room for any kind of problems like that. So yeah, we did get kind of lucky, huh? CartFlows.
That is jammy, actually. I thought that probably cost you a little bit of money, actually. I thought
$10.
Just shows you, folks, you can still pick up these .coms. Now, on to your recent interview, which you're going to join us tomorrow, and the panel's going to discuss. But I thought it was an excellent interview. Obviously, I would say it's a problem, but obviously when you invite somebody or somebody approaches you like Matt and says, yeah, I will come on, they're your guest. And it's a bit like you invite somebody to your home, isn't it, in some ways? So there are questions that you've got to ask, but on the same, it's not an interrogation either. So how did you cope with, because obviously there's been a lot of, we've discussed it on the WP-Tonic show. There's been a lot of upset drama about Gutenberg, about Matt's position in the center of a lot of this drama and the way that the project has been handled. So how, in your own mind, how did you envision how you were going to cope with those two opposite requirements? He's your guest, but also you've got some tougher questions to ask.
Well, for the listeners, I had never done an interview before. Now, fortunately,
I was aware of that. That's why I've been I was very impressed with, with the interview, because I knew that.
Well, take a little credit because you've interviewed me. This is the second time you've had me on your show. And then I've been on WP-Tonic for maybe like 30 episodes or 20 or 30 episodes. So thank goodness I had that experience under my belt, but I have never done it. And not only have I never done it, I've never had the technical stuff lined up to pull it off. And I have some like technical standards, meaning I wanted when he came on to have it be so professionally done that it would impress him, because I just like to do that anyway. So when we actually, let me back it up. When he emailed me and said, yeah, let's do it next week. This was last week. I was a terror set in, right? Oh my gosh, what did I just commit myself to? Literally the thought came through my mind, should I even?
Well, you have had a bit on your plate, haven't you? You know, and I thought myself, he's ramping it up even some more now. So,
yeah, so in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, do I even respond? But then I thought, of course you have to.
You got to respond.
Yes, I have to respond. And so we set that up, and there was this anxiety I felt for days because, number one, I had to figure out the questions, what I was going to ask. And I never want to ask the same things that everybody else asks. Plus, the WP-Crafter community, we're not interested in JavaScript and lines and commits and gets and all that kind of stuff. We don't care about that. We're mostly concerned with the user experience. So I didn't want to have the questions or the answers go to any like real technical depth like that because it just doesn't interest me personally. So I had to sit down and come up with these questions. But then I didn't want to like, my ultimate goal was to give him an opportunity or to hopefully have him take an opportunity to communicate to people that were to address the criticisms that he's been getting on a personal level, which I'm very in tune with because I get attacked personally on my YouTube channel because it's a YouTube thing, and I get that on
that is more the medium, don't you think? In some way,
yes, it is. It is, and so I crafted out my questions, and I didn't want to be soft, like too soft, but I did want to throw him some softballs. But then I went in for some of the harder questions. I asked him, what would you have done differently? Because this is the biggest shift in WordPress ever. This is the biggest addition, the biggest change ever to WordPress. And I asked them, what would you have done differently? And, I wanted to give him an opportunity to address that. I said, why do you think there's such criticism? And I wanted to give him a chance to address that. And then for the audience that I have on YouTube, I said, is Gutenberg going to replace the page builder? What's the plan there? And a lot of the users or the subscribers on the WP-Crafter channel are using a page builder, and there's a genuine concern there. So we got to hear his. I
thought his reply. Do you want some honest feedback about the interview?
Absolutely. Well, I can actually list out a dozen things I did wrong and I'm going to do differently. But
I think
the feedback and
in all honesty, Adam, I thought you did a very good job, a very impressive job. I think you pushed it as far as I would be prepared to push it. And sometimes I can be extremely blunt. Sometimes I think it's my English background, my cultural background. Sometimes some people say that I can be extremely blunt. But I think you asked him, I think the question about the page builder, he came out with some content that was new to me. And his position about how Gutenberg would fit in with the other page builders, I can follow the logic. And I thought that was quite interesting. I think some of his other answers to your questions emphasized to me that, and I'm trying to find the right words here because I don't want this to come across as a personal attack on Matt, is that I think he's self-deluding himself a little bit. And that might sound harsh, and I really don't want it because I always want to be respectful for somebody that co-founded a great thing. And I know he's very passionate, and he said that he's still totally committed and he sees WordPress as being part of his life for the foreseeable future. But I do think that the criticism, the honest criticism that this project has faced is not really about Gutenberg, because I think it's quite obvious to everybody that the editing experience was extremely dated and needed fundamental change experience compared to some of the hosted competition like Squarespace, Wix, and a host of others. But that hasn't been the core problem. The core problem, to my mind, is a lot of people make their living from WordPress as consultants, developers, designers, whatever title they want to take. And it's not been clear where that finite relationship is going to be between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. Example is Jetpack. Some people have hinted that Jetpack is going to be utilized as a kind of Trojan horse. I think that's pushing it a little bit myself. But on the other hand, where the boundary between WordPress.com and WordPress.org's going to be fixed, where's the leadership of where we're really going, and the communication of this project, to my mind, has been dismal. And a lot of that criticism, unfortunately, must go to Matt, being the head of WordPress and the head of this project, which I feel was a bad decision to actually formally become head of that particular project.
Yeah, well, there's lots of different ways to look at it. And I'm more inclined to... So we discussed a lot of these things actually on the podcast, and we discussed on the video interview. And here's my take.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but firstly, do you think there's any merit in my long-winded lecture to you, or do you think that fundamentally I'm incorrect in some of my views that I've just expressed there, Adam?
Well, I think that okay, so I'm more inclined to take Matt at his word. And I'm more inclined to take him at his word. Jetpack. So as far as monetization of the WordPress ecosystem, I got him, like the third question I asked him was, okay, so if you haven't been a part of other open source projects, you might not be familiar with what typically happens. What typically happens is an open source project starts, and a lot of users over time start using it. There's this, wow, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. Then a for-profit company started. In this case, it could be like Automatic. And then what ends up happening is that parent company starts building amazing things into that open source project, but the only way to get it now is through them. They're not giving it back to the open source project. And I said to him, you guys haven't done that. I have seen that so many times. A perfect example is, well, here's a great one. It's called Sugar CRM. Sugar CRM was the best open source CRM project, and then they just pulled a 180 on everybody. They got them all using it. They left everybody else out in the dust unless they paid for the commercial version, which in this case could be like WordPress.com, and they showed that it was just a trick. It was just a trick to build up users and then monetize those users. I got to say, WordPress is 15 years old. You haven't seen that pattern one bit. Jetpack, not everyone loves. I haven't had a love for it. But what WordPress is doing with Jetpack is they're making deals with the hosts. Jetpack will make a WordPress user's experience with the backups, with the CDN, all this value, and it's only like $60 a year, but they're not even really direct selling it to consumers as much as they are doing it to the hosts. So so one of the hosts is A2 Hosting. They'll say on their hosting plan, it includes the premium subscription to Jetpack if you want it. So they're not... So I don't feel like there's an evil motive there. So, and to even further shape it, Gutenberg is more than just a content editing experience. So we already know, I can give you my prediction on it. We already know some things, so let me just back that up. Okay. Gutenberg right now is a content editor. But he's already said last year that the next step with Gutenberg is you're going to not have to deal with widgets and sidebars and menus and headers and all that anymore. You're just going to do it all in Gutenberg, which I think is brilliant, right? Because what's driving it is the desire to make WordPress easier to use, which actually is part of the core value of WordPress. We didn't build this thing just for some developers to make money off of, or people that are technical. We made this to democratize publishing. You can't do that if a tool's hard to use. Now, most WordPress consultants and service providers, we're in this bubble. And this bubble is, sure, just go there and create a menu item and all that. But we don't realize someone's new to WordPress. It's like, this is just like, why do I have a widget, a menu location? I got a permalink and all this stuff. And if I want to edit the header, how do I do that? How come I have to go to 15 different places to do every single thing? Gutenberg, my prediction, is going to totally take over and simplify the entire WordPress experience. And this is something that he's going to reveal. Well, I'm no insider information, but he says he's going to reveal stages 3 and 4 of Gutenberg this Saturday. So now having said that, if he had this sole profit motive, he would have just taken Gutenberg and just given it to people that are anteing up and paying out of their pocket. But instead, the vision of Gutenberg is to take WordPress the next 15 years forward and leapfrog everybody else. Now, if that ends up happening, what we're going to see in 12 months, everyone that's saying anything bad today, they're going to be saying it was a brilliant move. It was a brilliant move because now my future is secure because I have a better tool that I can provide a better solution to people easier, and it's just going to be better all around. Of course, there's a transition period, but you know what? I think a lot of the criticism over the transition period hasn't been so fair either. I mean, he's like, here's this classic editor. When you upgrade today to WordPress 5, the welcome screen that says what's new, there's a button right there, install classic editor. If you don't want any of this, one button, you don't have to have any of this, and you can have it when you're ready. So I'm more inclined, especially after hearing him say what matters to him is that, and the real driving reason behind Gutenberg is because people have had problems creating content in WordPress and using WordPress as a whole. It's about ease of use. And I admire, and here, let me get back to Matt. If he didn't drive this, I guarantee you WordPress would start losing its market share because it's not the easiest tool to use. It is not the easiest tool to use. That's why people hire someone to do it. And if he wasn't driving this forward, saying this is the path we're going, we're just going this path. I mean, he provides. I don't know how many people are on the core team, but I know Automatic pays the salary of I think 38 of them, and he's scaling that up to 45. If Automatic didn't make money and provide that, where would WordPress be if they didn't fund this open source development? So I'm more inclined to take him at his word. I'm more inclined to take him at his word that Gutenberg is going to make everything easier. And I'm more inclined to take him at his word that Gutenberg, fast forward 2 years from now, is going to just be the most amazing change to all of WordPress, and it's going to make it a lot easier to use, leapfrog all the competition, and open up a world of opportunity for people. Did that answer the question of how I view it post-interview?
I think you did an excellent job there. Excellent job. And we can continue the discussion tomorrow, can't we?
Okay, that's right, yes.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap up the interview now, folks. Adam, like I say, great job, Adam. Really enjoyable interview. Very impressed. And we'll have somebody next week that will be offering you some value, listeners and viewers. We'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Thanks for watching and listening.